Hello. We are all up in this kitchen. Uh, my internet had a blip, and there's nobody here, so I hope that the blip did not completely boot us from the world. But I guess I will just carry forward. So, as my message on Discord suggests, but you can't see here because you're not in my Discord. Why aren't you? All the delightful things I've been making out of this kitchen for the show here have resulted in a little bit of a tummy, and I would like to perhaps shave that down. Um, so I'm kicking off a loosely concepted theme of I'm going to try to be healthy. Um, we'll see how long that lasts. We'll see how well it works. It's supposed to go with the fact that I'm also picking up some exercise. Yeah. So to start things off, Lomi Lomi. That is our first project, and I'm going to be making some wonton chips to go with it. Um, it's almost like a salsa, like a fresh salsa, but it's made of fish. Uh, it's a really interesting concept, and as soon as I read about it, I was like, I have to try that. Um, and this isn't the traditional version, which is made with bonefish, which I don't know how to get bonefish. I also don't have any poi, so I would have a hard time making any element of that dish. Um, but yeah, I guess I should dive into it. I have a recipe up from Recipe Land, but it's for a way more than I plan on eating. So um, we're we're gonna trim it way down. Uh, but there's going to be a lot of it's a raw dish. The chips are not raw, but the main thing is a raw dish. So there's going to be mostly chopping, mixing, prepping today. Ooh, I got some schmutz I didn't clean up on my worktop here. Let me take care of that real quick. Let me tell you, those magic eraser things, very, very effective. But also, don't buy the Mr. Clean brand ones. Unless Mr. Clean wants to sponsor me. In which case I will sting your virtues, because your product is great. You charge too much for it. You can get the same thing for dirt cheap if you get the one that doesn't have the Mr. Clean branding on it. And it's literally the same thing. Okay. Bouquet. Let's get out all of our things. Ooh, I already unfroze it. First, I've got one of these little single tuna steaks, which is going to be the basis of our thing. And we're going to have to base everything else around the fact that I've got one of these tuna steaks. I have considered that we could violate the premise a little bit and bulk it out with some shrimp, but I think that's going to be plenty. So the shrimp's going to stay in the fridge, and we'll keep the shrimp handy. The shrimp needs to be used up at some point soon. If I don't eat it today, I'll eat it tomorrow. And then these are just basic wonton skins that I'm going to be turning into chips using a recipe that I've never done before or even heard of before. Hopefully will work great. Fingers crossed. I haven't had nobody show up for this long for a while. Tuna, lime. I got the avocados were just enormous. I grabbed some because they were the same price for being huge. We might throw some avocado in, but I'm not sure. They're gonna hang out in the corner and do their own thing. Tomato, cucumber, sweet onion. Important that I got a sweet onion. Green onion. Salt, oil. This one says hot pepper sesame oil. I don't know about that. Cilantro. Of course, we're skipping the cilantro. We're going to use parsley. We could actually cut some shiso and use some shiso. That might be fun. The cucumber is not traditional, to my knowledge. Am I on? Hold on, I gotta refresh this thing. Oh yeah, my window was all weird. It said I was both online and offline at different parts. Okay, well, this is gonna be too much onion and probably right about the right amount of tomato. Especially once we get the core out. You want about 1-to-1, I think, between these two. Okay. So everything is supposed to be cubed approximately the same size. Now that I'm looking at that might be more tomato than I need. I should probably cut the tuna just to make sure I know how much I've got before I cut everything else. I was going to save it. This is some fancy tuna. That is pretty sure sushi grade. Well, all tuna is technically sushi grade. I'm pretty sure this one is like calls itself out. That's not the original packaging. It came in a larger outer package, and I just took the little individual ones out because otherwise there's a lot of airspace in there. It was weird. People need to vacuum seal more things. Bigger knife. Cutting that with a little tiny knife would be foolish. I gotta be careful not to shred this apart. I want nice sort of pieces. Now, like I said, you're supposed to do this with something called bonefish, which is called oyo. Oh, I can't pronounce Hawaiian words. It's O-I-O with an apostrophe in the middle. But that version is like ancient. That's the version that was made before any contact, and it has largely been replaced by ones that use more commercially normal fish like tuna and salmon. Because bonefish is not like a popular eaten fish, and I doubt you could even find it outside of Hawaii. Okay. So I need a pile of tomato that's the same approximate size as the pile of tuna. But of course, tomato comes in circles, making it harder to cube. I'm starting to think half a tomato is probably all I need. Bookwoman, hi. Welcome, welcome. I think half a tomato is all I need, actually. We will save the remaining tomato for something else. Get out a bowl to start mixing things in. But welcome to this healthy experiment. You know, I just looked at it, and knowing what I'm going to do with them, these pieces of fish need to be cut smaller. So we're going to run through them real quick. This is the size that I probably would cut them if I was making poke. But they need to be scoopable. So we're bringing them down. But howdy, hi, how's it going? What is up? This knife's not quite as sharp as that knife. Probably means I need to take it in and get it freshened up. Let me know if anything's up with the stream quality as well. I had a blip right when I went live, and I'm trying to keep an eye on it. Yeah, hit 90 here too. I've got my AC going all day. I have started up a new exercise regimen, which was part of the impetus for trying. Let's try to be a little bit healthier in the food realm. And I went. I've got a exercise machine here in the house where I can exercise in the air-conditioned comfort, but I would like to go outside for it if possible. So I went out this morning when it was still only, oh gosh, I think it was 80. It didn't start out very cool today. Or maybe I just felt like it was 80 because I was exercising. But it was hot. Selena, hi. You are first. Well, that reminds me. Somebody make a note in Discord if you're in my Discord. Are you in my Discord? One of you should be. I want to make another channel point thing for people who aren't first. Not first. Okay. This would have been easier if I'd cut them right away to a smaller size, but I just mindlessly did a coarse dice when I want a small dice. That's what I get. How's it going, Selena? Welcome. Howdy. Watch me dice. It's gonna be a lot of cutting. It's gonna be a lot of cutting today. That's the main activity we have today, and hopefully I will cut things more sanely as I go, so I won't have to recut them like this. This is just wasting a bunch of time. Okay. Okay, now I gotta get sweet onion. I never get sweet onion. I always just get the regular yellow onion. But this specifically, and if my reading is correct, there's actually a variety of sweet onion that's been cultivated in Hawaii specifically, and that is the one you're supposed to use. I don't know what makes it different, and I also have no idea how to find it anywhere at all. So we're using a just plain old sweet yellow onion that I got at the grocery store. Too hot to sleep. That is unfortunate. I don't have a solution for that. I'm just fortunate that I'm able to put an air conditioner near enough to my bedroom that I can blow air into it. Since I don't have central, I just have a window box. We need to start bringing back window awnings. Especially in the summers, to keep some of that hot sunlight from getting inside. Remember window awnings? Vidalias are sweet, but the Vidalia is not a Hawaiian variety. This was just labeled as sweet yellow onion, probably because it was not grown in Vidalia. That's one of those things that has like name protection. Why am I using the slicer for this? I should be using the chef's knife. Using the slicer because the slicer was handy, because I used the slicer for the meat, which is what the slicer is for. But and I think that's all the onion I want. I don't want to overload this with onion, and it looks about like the picture. And then lime and salt. Salt first. Okay, here's the bit where we learn about the thing I'm making. It's called Lomi Lomi. And I'm certain I'm pronouncing that wrong. And the name literally means massage. So we are going to massage the salt into the fish and tomato, but and then the reason I used a spoon, and I should have left the little guy's lid open. I wanted to add more. Okay. I think it's massaged. The salt's all dissolvey. I don't know how long you're supposed to massage it. It just says massage. Massage. Combine stuff. We are using cucumber, so we need to cut the cucumber, throw that in, and I want it to be the same basic dice size. It's a cute little pickling cucumber. It'll also give us a nice color contrast, which the original does not have. It's a very red and pink thing. The traditional, first of all, does not use tuna, as I mentioned. But also, that's it. Except the fish they use is less chunky, so it comes out more like a paste. That's going to be probably plenty of cucumber. I can always add more cucumber if I need to. And then we're going to squish up the lime. Limes are still ridiculously cheap for me. Usually, by summer, the prices have gone up on limes because citrus is in season in the winter. But my limes are still all, they're 5 for $1 still. It's crazy. Anyways, juice of 1 lime. And a little bit of pulp that I don't really care about getting in there. And yes, if you're paying attention, this is not dissimilar to a ceviche, although it is from distinctly different origins. This is not a case of ceviche imported. It's a case of an existing dish that has then been adapted to new ingredients that came across the ocean. Oh. And then this specific one wants hot pepper oil. Which I'm going to give a little drizzle to. It's sesame oil. Don't need the lime. We have extra onion. I might make something else just to. I've got extra onion, extra tomato, extra. Don't want stuff going off. Speaking of extra onion, we're throwing in a green onion as well. Yep. And then it wants cilantro, which I'm going to just grab some parsley, chop it up, throw it in there. And that should be all the ingredients. I believe. Parsley, that doesn't look too bad. I'm not going to use stems today. Stems don't look good in a salsa. If you're cooking your parsley, go ahead and use your stems. If you're using it fresh, the stems don't look very good. I got a couple of yellow leaves on this one. Oh. Oop. Ugh. This might be the end of the parsley. They're a little bit gross. A little bit of a gross one at the bottom. Okay. take your fresh herb, bunch it so that when you cut through it, you can cut it. Okay. I feel like we're going to have a short one, but I guess we'll find out when I get into the wonton chips, because I don't know what to expect. Get this stirred together. Now the lime, the acid in the lime, is going to start cooking our tuna. It's going to start denaturing proteins in a way that is not dissimilar to how it happens when you cook it with heat. But it's not going to be acidic enough in there to kill bacteria. So we had to start with some pretty clean, pretty certified safe stuff, which is why I decided to go with tuna, because tuna is in general, much safer without having to get specialty certified stuff. Salmon is less trustworthy. I wouldn't just get grocery store salmon and trust that you can eat it raw, but you can frequently just kind of trust grocery store tuna because of the way it's caught. It gets frozen, flash frozen at sea right after they catch it. Okay. So that is the project today. I need to let it sit and marinate, so I'm just going to take another bowl, nest it over the top, put this in the fridge, and we will move on to wonton chips, and then we will think about, I don't know, doing a fun side project or something. Since I have some odds and ends. We won't need that. But we will need this. What was that sound? Must have been a truck outside. Oh, something fell over. Okay. We actually do need the board back. Oh, and that one broke. Less than ideal. Baking sheets. Let's slide it. We're going to bake these. It actually gives me a temperature. 375. Preheat to 375. Make sure there's nothing in there. And parchment up our... Ooh, I hope I have enough parchment. I didn't look to see if I had enough parchment before diving in on this. Oh, nope. I do not. That's the end of the parchment. Hmm. That one's aluminum foil. That one's plastic wrap. 3 plastic wraps. That's interesting. Guess we can do a side by side with aluminum and out of parchment. Substitutes for parchment. Common uses, disadvantages. Substitute. Aluminum foil. Silicone baking mat, which I don't have, but that would be the ideal. The recipe I'm looking at even says use a silicone baking mat or parchment paper if you don't have one. I suspect this is going to be sticky. So I guess we're going to go with aluminum and oil it. That's why I don't like the big foil. I think we're going to have a little bit of a mess on our hands with this one. I'm going to give us aluminum foil and a shot of that stuff. And I'm actually going to give us a shot of that stuff on the parchment side as well. It should be a negligible amount of oil. But what we're doing is over here. I could do these in batches. I don't have to do them one at a time. We're going to lay these guys out. And make chips. Which I've never... I made tortilla chips, but flour tortilla chips once, and that worked really well. But I've never done it with wonton. It should work just fine. Wonton is very similar to pasta dough, and I know pasta chips work just fine. And there is another step to this. Because we need to give them a head start and a thermal interface, or they won't crisp. Wow, I cut exactly the number I needed to do this pattern all the way to the top. If we slide back over, we have a lot more of those. We might do another batch. I didn't want to crack eggs just to get egg whites. I hate doing that. So I bought pre-done just egg whites. Which also means we have to use egg whites now. And we break the seal, which means we have to use this thing within a week. Throw in some water to thin our eggs just a smidge. Beat them up with a fork. It says until frothy, and that looks like froth to me. We need the basting brush, which gets shoved to the back gradually as I use other things, because we don't use it very often. So, where are you, basting brush? Are you all the way at the back? Not quite. The basting brush. Join me over at the stove. I've never done what I'm doing here, which is using egg white to crisp up pasta in the oven. It should give us some interesting color. Egg white will brown. But I don't actually know what we're going to do to the texture of these things. The egg white also gives us a wet surface upon which to adhere flavor. You can flavor these chips according to the recipe, which I intend to do. My oven clicked, so as soon as these are all brushed down, and seasoned. We're going to put salt and sesame on them, I think. That sounds like a good combo. I heard a dog. I could make an egg white omelet. I can make lots of egg white things. of our chunky salt here. I literally missed one of the squares entirely. Just glossed over it. We could probably dip the wontons in the egg mixture instead of brushing it on. That probably seems more logical, honestly. To me. You guys can't hear that dog outside, can you? I hear a dog through the window. Okay, okay. And then we bake. As Hecky would say, we make bakies. And we hope that this works. Um, 5 to 8 minutes until they are lightly browned and crisp. In the meantime, we tidy up a little bit. Oh, what's everyone else having for dinner today? I've been thinking that for these sort of in-between times, I could make a drink. But I don't know anything about making drinks. I don't know my mixology. So just diving in seems foolish. I've tried, one of the clips, in fact, is me looking up drinks and reading the names out. I've tried looking up drinks sometimes. I'm not a huge drinker in general, and I'm hesitant to just start adding alcohol to the show. These guys, I've got a lot more of these than I think I was expecting. One broke. I should have made that one into chips because it broke. These need to be packed up or they will dry out, and they don't last very long once you've got them out of the packaging. They will start to go off because it is raw dough. So I guess that's also something I got to think about using soon. What else do I do in the meantime? I've got quite a lot of cheese. I've got quite a lot of cheese right now. And tomato and basil. That's a caprese. if I want a caprese. Drinks. Hmm. Hmm. I'm going to put away some dishes while the chips are baking. Not that I've produced a ton of new dishes, but it's always nice to have things tidied and cleaned. Plating is going to be odd because the chips are probably going to want to be in like a basket, but the Lomi wants to be in a dish. So they're going to be on separate plates. Slightly weirdly on separate plates. Ooh. Huh. Those chips are doing something in there. They're making more progress than I expected. They are very thin. We'll probably have to make a second batch. I'm thinking we're going to just not have enough of them to make a nice looking plate with what I've got in there. But even the ones on the aluminum are not obviously sticking down. So I think our solution is working of just using aluminum. They're only sticky on the top because the egg white is only on the top. So that should protect them from just adhering, which is the danger when you do something like that with aluminum. Aluminum is not a non-stick surface. It's just a very smooth surface. The parchment is actually a non-stick surface. It's a treated paper with, I think it's a silicone compound. What I should get is 2 non-stick silicone mats that are the size of those pans so that I can do something like this quickly and not have wasted materials, because they're a lot more expensive up front, but in the long run they should be more economical than buying rolls and rolls of parchment paper. There's no picture of the chips. Actually, on this recipe, there's no picture of the Lomi either. So I'm just kind of winging it. The ones on the bottom are already browning, and those are the ones that are on the. We're gonna cut some more. We're gonna cut some more chips. I'm gonna do more, for sure. But the ones on the bottom on the aluminum are browning faster than the ones on the parchment paper. So we'll probably take them out first and have a second batch already going in before the top one comes out. I lost my train of thought for a second there. Mid-sentence, which is not ideal. Makes sense the parchment is cooking a little bit slower. The aluminum is a thermal conductor, whereas paper is more of an insulator. So the aluminum sheet on the pan is getting hot and pushing more heat into our chips. And I think you're supposed to not do that. Ooh, those are coming out, for sure. For sure. They look like this. They look like this. The other ones still look kind of pale. So maybe aluminum is the better choice, but then again, are these crispy? They're supposed to be like crispy chips. I still don't know what vessel I'm putting these in. Vessel am I putting these in? I didn't pick one. I just soldiered forth. This. Well, they sound crispy. They kind of rattle like a crispy thing would. We'll put another batch in, and then I can peek at the other one while this one is getting started. And hopefully it will come out, and we can have delicious chips. Never quite noticed how much like a pasta wonton skins really are. And it makes me wonder if we couldn't play around with that. You already wrap them around stuff. Could you make a wonton lasagna? Is that a thing? Maybe. Maybe. Am I the one to find out if that's a thing? Maybe. Maybe. Salt and black sesame seeds. You could use white sesame seeds. The black sesame seeds obviously are more visually appealing against the pale tan. Okay, so rotate that guy in. Ooh, and the other one overcooked while I was doing that. They have developed a deep golden brown. Okay. Duly noted. Oh, okay. Don't touch them with your hands like an idiot. They're literally as hot as the oven. They're a little tricky to pick up. Do we do another sheet? Yes, we do. I mean, yes, we do. Interesting. Interesting outcomes, though, so far. The timing is pretty quick on them. We need just 2 more to finish the sheet. I'm not worried about making extras because they are chips. If I keep them in an airtight container, they should stay just fine for a long period of time. Hi, Wee Former. Welcome, welcome. Yes, the old Tum has become a little bit more of a barrel than a 6-pack, and I have doctor's orders. I have doctor's orders not to lose weight. The doctor thinks my weight is fine. I have doctor's orders to do some exercises on my legs for muscle tone, which kind of makes sense. All my hobbies and everything is very sedentary these days. And I'm just throwing in, I should eat a little bit healthier, maybe in combination with exercise. That will shave off a little bit of the tum. So, and it's the new month, so I thought, let's make it a theme where I try to not eat quite so much rich nonsense. Although apparently we're not going light on the salt. I'm sure that if I did have doctor's orders about my diet, it would be, boy, you should probably lay off the salt. I might not put Health Month in the title after this. I feel like it might be scaring people away today. Because I'm not really changing the premise of the channel. We're still adventurous foodie. It's just that I'm going to be adventuring in a slightly different angle. Okay. Let's... Ooh. 15 cents May is pretty good pace. You don't want to go too fast. That's like super unhealthy. So that's actually a really good pace. Congrats. You were out at dinner. What did you have at dinner? Always love to hear. Could be tuna lomi lomi, but I've had other things that just sound weird, like they're just words nobody recognizes. I want to try one of these chips because I'm a little worried that I may have overdone these ones that are quite brown. Oh my! That crunch! Mmm! Whoa! These are really good. Why have I never done this before? They're so easy. I'm gonna try one of these pale ones and see if they're just as good. Mm. The pale ones have a little bit more chew, a little bit less crunch. So I think you actually want to get them closer to the even browning. Although I still think these may be slightly over. They have a very toasty flavor. Mmm. And they are. I oiled the sheet because I was worried it might stick. But if you use a proper nonstick sheet, these are oil-free. Because what I was brushing on the surface was egg white. Mmm. They have a good crunch. They're just like, mmm. Mmm. How have I never done this before? Mmm. Mmm. Gotta keep an eye on them. We don't want to burn any of these guys. They develop these fun little blisters, just like they would if you fried them, but I didn't fry them. So I'm a little surprised that they blistered to that degree. The blisters give them a good amount of extra crunch. And my topping has adhered quite well. I'm barely losing any of my seeds, so that has also worked. So far, very impressed. We'll keep this in mind because a package of wonton skins is dirt cheap. Not dirt cheap. They're like $2 for, what is it, 40? It says on the package somewhere how many there are in here. Wonton wrapper. It's by ounce. Why is it by ounce? Well, it's $2 for like 40. Nope, it looks like I had another internet blip at some point because I dropped about 400 more frames. Internet's been a little bit blippy this week, since about Tuesday. And it's really strange. It boots the network. It acknowledges that the network is still connected to the internet, but it boots me off the network for just a half a second, and then it clicks back in. I'll open a YouTube video and it'll say, you don't have internet, and I'll click refresh and it'll play the video just perfectly normal. Not sure what is causing that. The router probably needs an update. I need a better container. This ended up being too small. And also, it doesn't look very good. Does this look good? I don't know. I don't think it needs a new modem because even when it wouldn't let me connect, it's detecting the network and it's saying that the router is connected to the modem and the modem is connected to the internet. It's just the router and the computer don't connect. And again, only just for a moment. So it's something with the router. It's probably, it needs a firmware update or something. It could be heat. It's upstairs. I just feel like this bowl is slightly tacky. We should check. We're removing the bottom ones. Where did I put mine? Top ones are still kind of pale. Bottom one looks perfect. The bottom ones look exactly what I think I want them to be. They're nice and toasty brown, but they're still just a little bit pale in the middle. The heat's been not the best. Not a massive fan of the heat hot. I gotta decide what I'm gonna serve these in. You all know what dishes I have. Pick one. Make me put these chips in a dish. I don't have one that like speaks to me. What I want is like one of those baskets that you can line with some wax paper and call that a thing. The Lomi Lomi is going to be in a separate dish, not on the same dish with the chips. I don't have a basket like that, though, is the thing. Something gives a contrast. I don't know. I don't have an ideal dish for that. I guess next time I'm out thrifting, that's what I look for, is that kind of dish. What if I served them in a trough? What if I served them in this trough? So I'm going to have about twice this many. So it'll bulk it up. Speaking of which, we should check and make sure those guys haven't burned. They have not. I mean, this quote-unquote trough is actually a loaf pan, but it kind of spaces them out. It's dark in color, so it makes them sort of stand out. They'll be slightly heaped up at the end because of the quantity I have made. Yeah, that's a decent pan for this. What am I going to serve the actual Lomi Lomi in? It needs to be in a smaller bowl than it's in right now. That bowl is too big. Makes the food look small. It should be something shallow wide that sort of emphasizes what we've got. And it's very pink and green. It's pink and green. That might just sort of make a mound of it on the brown plate, and then it's just got a high lip so the juices won't go everywhere. I I think that's my service. Because then you can still sort of push it up against the side to get a scoop. So it's functional as well as aesthetic. I did not need to do as many egg whites as that recipe called for. That recipe wanted me to make a ton of these things. 4 egg whites. 4 egg whites was too much even for the amount that they call for. Oop! Shoot. I get chittin' and chatting, and they go toasty again, which isn't bad. The toasty ones are nice and toasty, but they're not too bad. They still have a few whites. A couple of them they're going to be scorching hot. They're going to be scorching hot. Oop, and that one's stuck. We have had one stick throughout the entire process, and I think it's because I over egg whited it. I'm very impressed with this process. They're very crunchy. They're very easy. They're like a baked chip. They are literally a baked chip, but they're like a baked chip as well. Okay, well, there's our trough of chip. And I guess that means I scoop out our Lomi into this dish here, and we call it service. Because if you're just arriving, we made the Lomi first so that it could rest and marinate and get all beautiful and nice. And I don't want it to just be soup, so I'm going to scoop it out of its own juices a bit to form the plate. Ultimately, this has turned very similar to ceviche with the amount of lime that I added. I think I may have gone a little bit overboard on the lime. I'm reasonably certain that the actual traditional version of this has no acid component at all and is just flavored with salt. The acid obviously causes the tuna to discolor a little bit because it's starting to cook it. So we lost our beautiful pink tuna. We lost that beautiful raw pink tuna look with a little bit of a pale edge where the acids have cooked it. We'll keep that in mind if we do this again. I hope it tastes good. I mean, how could it not? All the things we're working with here are delicious. If you missed the start, what we have here is tuna, tomato, sweet onion, and it's fish, tomato, and sweet onion and salt. And Lomi means massage, and it's massaged together. And then to that, I added cucumber, lime, green onion and parsley. And a little bit of hot oil and sesame oil. I didn't want to make this real oily, but I wanted a little bit of that extra flavor. I think I'm going to give it just a little topper of black pepper. And there's quite a lot of salt in there, but I think a little finishing salt right on the top will look nice. And I think that a little bit of black sesame right on the top will also look nice. And that's my healthy. I think it's healthy. It's all fresh. There's very little oils in all of this. Tuna is a low-fat thing. Not that low-fat equals healthy, but it can contribute if your problem is that you've got too much fat in your diet. It's still juicing out the bottom, even though I left a lot of the juice here. So it is definitely a juicy thing. Let's go take pictures. You can walk in here and you can maybe hear my air conditioner running, desperately trying to keep up with the heat wave. Where'd I put my phone? Where'd I put my phone? So a little bit of a shorter one. I kind of expected it. You notice I started late. When I start late, it often means I suspect I'm going to have a little bit of a shorter one. The oven just clicked, which means the oven is still on, even though there's nothing in there, which is not a good thing. I need to remember to turn the oven off. Higher protein and higher fiber. I don't know if this is high fiber. It's definitely got too much salt in it still, but it's very low in fats. And it's very high in protein because we brushed these guys down with egg white to help encourage the crunchiness. And that's protein. I'm going to pick a chip that's likely to be an ideal scooper. And then you treat this like a salsa. It's like pico de gallo with fish in it. Mmm. Mmm. Well, it's fun. It's salty. Maybe a little bit too salty. It's salty. It's acidic. It's sharp, but it's also quite savory. These guys are very crunchy, yes. Oh, it reminds me of ceviche. It reminds me of just a like a pico. It reminds me a bit of a poke bowl. Mmm. This I have to remember because I love crunchy snacks. And crunchy snacks are so often fried in oil to achieve that crunchiness. These guys are crunchy and not fried in oil. And I could put less salt on them if I wanted, which I probably should do next time. But they're mighty tasty. Mmm. This is great. This is a very summery, very tropical flavor combo. It's sharp, it's acidic, it's bright, it tastes very fresh. Mm. Would try this again. Different combination. Mm. If possible, I would like to find bonefish and try to make this with bonefish. But I don't know where to get that without flying to Hawaii. So, um, mm, it does. It has that. It has that kind of a character, like Baja. It's very like seaside, sitting on the beach, having this. I could see that. I'm definitely going to polish this off. I also appreciate that it insisted on sweet onion because I think that this, with a normal just yellow onion or white onion, one of the standard onion, would be too punchy. Having just a whisper of onion in there is better. And I think if you didn't have sweet onion, I would leave it out instead of adding a different kind of onion. Just because I think that this doesn't want that pungency. I would also add less lime. I might in fact do this without the lime at all and then just lime it at the end. Or you could put lime zest on the chips. I like the acidity in this. It helps it, but I don't think it needs to sit and soak in it. Because now it has taken it in the direction of ceviche. And I think it's supposed to be... I think I took it too far in that direction with the amount of lime I added. I think I'm supposed to have pulled it back a little bit. And I think if adding the lime right at the end would accomplish that. The pictures I've seen of this don't look quite like this. The fish is always very raw looking, which means it has a lot less acid in it. Actually, I would be tempted to use something like tahine to get the acidity without bathing it in acidity where it'll start to cook the proteins. I think that might be a better choice. Get some sort of not necessarily tahine, but something like this, a granulated acid. Because tahine is quite sour if you're familiar with it. And it's just straight up citric acid in there. But I think some zest on the chips would be good. Maybe just a tiny bit of lime or lemon to finish this, but I think tahine or something similar might be a better choice just because of the way acids interact with proteins. Well, I'm going to eat all of this for sure. Because I made a smaller portion, just enough for one. Probably made too many chips, but they're so good. They're crunchy. Keep these in mind. Keep these in mind for sure. This is a good, quick, crunchy pleaser. And I think you get away with one egg white, honestly. So these were just standard frozen wonton skins, cut into triangles, brushed with egg white, I didn't even come close to using all of the egg white that I prepared for it. So you can get away with very little egg white. And you can customize your flavors. And then it gets super crunchy without oil, which is fabulous. Fabulous. I mean, this is good. This is like a game changer. How have I never had these before? These are great. Anyways, I think that's where we're gonna close it up. This is such a simple recipe. So was this one. We went pretty simple. I don't know how the theme is going to evolve as we go forward. I'm going to try to stick to it. So don't expect big deep fried things, big piles of cheese and all that madness this month, because we're trying to rein in our portions. It's a good time to do it too. Summer, the height of summer, fresh veggies, fresh fruits are in abundance. Perfect time to just lean in on all of that. And then in the winter, we can go back to cheese and potatoes and stuff. So, yeah. It also means we're probably not going to do much practice with the sous vide and steak, because steak isn't exactly a health option. So yeah, I don't have a specific plan of how this is going to mature as the month progresses, but I'm going to try to stick to it in combination with my exercise plan, and we'll see what the results are. I'm going to pop up to my big old dumb face. I'm going to ship us off into the wild blue yonder. We'll see who's on. We'll see if this loads. I've been having issues with stuff. This is gonna be a little bit of a piddly raid. Who would I go see? Who would I go watch if I was just dropping off and running? Who's he yet? I haven't seen Yed in a long time. Yed's playing Baldur's Gate 3. So, caution, Baldur's Gate 3. It's full of spoilers.